question's been asked of you. What is the relationship between our auric field, our subtle emanation, and that place where we now find ourselves? A place where we're ever present, ever alert, ever aware. What happens when that which is in constant movement unites with that which is eternally still? Perhaps this Tibetan story might help us to answer this question. There were 3 boys. Their names were Jingmei, Wachup, and Dersang. Now Jingmei was the son of a king. He was a prince and lived in a palace with all the trappings of palatial life. Wachup was the son of the richest merchant in the city. So he lived in great opulence with many servants. But Dersang was an orphan. He had no one. But despite the disparity in their backgrounds, these boys were close friends, and every day they played together. Now one day, Jingmei said to his friends, "I'm tired of playing in the palace. Let's go into the forest and see what we can find." The other 2 boys agreed, and so they went off deep amidst the trees. But after a while they came to a place where there was a rocky crag, and they noticed that up on a ledge on this rocky crag there was a tree growing, and in the tree was the nest of a crow. So they decided that it would be a great game if they got the nest down. So they went off and gathered rocks in their pockets until they had a great quantity. And they came back, but before they started their game, Jingmei said, "Now let's be serious about this. This is not just a game. I'm going to make an oath. I'm going to make an oath that I'm not going to leave this forest until we knock down that nest." Well, Wachup said, "Well, I agree. I too make that oath." And Dersang said, "Yes, and me too. That means that we agree that we will not leave this forest until we get that nest down." So they began to throw their stones. And they threw and threw, and a few little twigs came out of the nest and fell to the ground. But somehow they couldn't budge it. And the day passed. Jingmei said, "Oh, I'm tired of this game. I don't worry about my oath. I live in a palace. Oaths don't really mean anything to me. I'm going home." Wachup said, No, I made the oath." Dersang said, "Yes." So off went Jingmei. Wachup and Dersang kept throwing their stones at the nest, but they couldn't budge it. A few little twigs again fell down, but it was starting to become dusk. And Wachup said, "Well, you know, I've got many servants at home who will be worried about me I don't think I'm going to worry about this oath anymore. You know, my servants care about me and they'll be very concerned about me, so I'm going to give up my oath. So, Dosan said to Wangchuck, well, you know, Jingmei is a prince and he lives in a palace, and it's easy for him to give up an oath, and for you, you have servants to care about you, and so an oath means nothing to you, but I have no one. I'm an orphan. All I have is my word, so I'm staying to keep my oath. So Wangchuck went off, and then Dosan kept throwing stones, but still the nest didn't budge. Until finally the night came down and he sat down and tried to think of what he could do now. But just as he was sitting there, an old man with a white beard came out from an aperture behind the tree on the ledge and came clambering down, grabbed Dosan, put him on the ground, thump, 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 until he was totally breathless. He said, I'll teach you nasty little boys to disturb me all day, throwing stones at my house. I'm a hermit, Nagarjuna, who's been living in that cave for the last 20 years. And I've never been disturbed before by 3 nasty boys. But then he looked at Dosan and said, well, now come to think of it, you're a pretty hale and hearty kind of a lad. Perhaps you can do something for me. And Dosan, feeling very overwhelmed by this great sorrow, yes sir, I'll do anything that you would ask me to do. The Nagarjuna said, now this is going to require making a long, long journey, and it's not going to be easy. But Dosan said, I'm willing, you just tell me what it is that I have to do. Nagarjuna said, well, first of all, I'm going to give you 3 things. And those 3 things are this little container. It contains food, and it may seem very small, but you only need to partake of a very little for you to be replete, satiated, and full of strength. And this axe, and this sack, which has a string at its neck. Now I'm going to tell you what you have to do. Listen attentively. So he said, you have to make a long journey out of this forest, and when you get to the edge of the forest, you'll see a cemetery. Now you have to enter that cemetery, find your way. If you can't get in from the east, you go from the west. If you can't get in from the west, you go from the north. If you can't get in from the north, you go from the south. And when you get inside the cemetery, there'll be a lot of ghosts and spirits there. But you must call for only one ghost, because I have the power to take that ghost and turn him into a lump of gold, which will allow us to heal and take care of many thousands of people. His name is Nuka Dorje. So when you get into that cemetery, you call for Nuka Dorje. But when you do, all the other ghosts and spirits will say, here I am, I'm Dorje. But be careful. They're all trying to fool you. Because the real Dorje will not answer. he'll try to escape. He'll run up a tree. So you must go to the tree and call him. And when he won't come, you'll threaten to chop down his tree with an axe, the axe that you have. But when he clambers down the tree and tries to run up, you have to grab him and put him in the sack and tie its neck tightly. But now, listen very, very carefully. This is the most important and the most difficult part of what it is that I ask you to do. And that is, you must not say a word. You must remain totally silent. Because if you utter a word, the string that holds the sack will burst and no doubt Dorje will escape you. Do you hear what it is that I say? The son said, yes. I promise that I will not say one word. What is the meaning of the story for us? What do its symbols mean for us? Who is this Nagarjuna? What are these three things that he carries with him? What is this ghost? What do they represent to us? And what does it mean? Keeping totally silent, not saying a word. We can see very well how it relates to previous stories, the earth, the cave, and so forth. But how does it enable us to answer this important question? What happens? How is the interaction between our emanating field, that which is in constant movement relative to life, and that which is perpetually still, without moving, present, alert and aware?